thank you again for this day, for who you are, and what you're doing even in convocation. You're amazing, Father, what you have purposed to do in our lives. And I pray that you'd be glorified through what's done, that you would help us as a body of men and women on this campus to really grow closer to you during this week. It's just 1 week that we have this thing. You can come anytime, and you have before. But Father, this opportunity, I pray you take this opportunity to do something very wonderful with it. And I'm asking you to do that, Father, in Jesus' name. And bless this time we have together here. Amen. Okay, so about next week. So I got ahead of myself so next week we have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I want to show something on Wednesday that I want you to see. And so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to have a class on Friday. Rather, on either Wednesday night or Thursday night or Wednesday night, I'm going to offer the test. Not one or the other, I'll do them both. So if you want to take a test on Wednesday night, I'll be here to give it, probably at 8 o'clock. Well, Wednesday night, there's nothing. You have church on Wednesday night?
We have prayer meeting, we do.
It's not required.
I'll probably do it Thursday myself.
Students don't have anything on Thursday.
Okay, so 7 p.m. and Thursday 7 p.m. So if you want to come to this, like you have media ministries, don't you, on Thursday? So if you want to come at 8, I'll probably still be here, or I'll be here.
Are you doing the test one? Is that out also?
Yes.
Oh, I probably just did
So I'm doing the test, either one. But we have class, the legit class, we're having it Monday, we're having it Tuesday, or Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, class, regular class. You don't want to miss this class, because there's going to be stuff that you're going to see that's going to be on the test. Not a lot, but some. So, but then Wednesday night, Thursday night, 7 o'clock, I'll be in this room with, and give a test. So you can choose which night you want to take this in. Okay, everybody clear? Good, good to be clear. So here's where we left off on Friday. We were talking about liquefaction. So this is a great, I might put this, well, you can actually access this. You can access this because this stuff will be put on your lessons. So if you went to lessons and you went to this lesson, you could find this. And the lessons are marked by the day, the thing. So this is it's a long one. I thought it was really interesting, but it's about liquefaction. And it's starting at 24, so it's 10 minutes, or 11 minutes about of it. It's just good. I was gonna show it, but I don't have time to do that, because this is convocation. So, but it describes this in a very, very satisfactory way, I thought. So, subsidence. Excuse me. So that's when the ground settles differently and result in flooding or sedimentation of subsided areas, as occurred in broad areas like Chile or in Alaska in 1964. So Chile had a big quake in 1960, as I think we went over that, and then, or we touched on it, Alaska in 64. Now this, you've done some stuff with tsunamis, some of you. Now, the Media 4, Henry brought to my attention, or my remembrance, that Media 4 is not a 20-minute video. It's not a 40-minute video. It's hardly a 60-minute video. How many minute video is it?
It was like an hour and 26 minutes and something, so many seconds, I think.
Just to make you aware. So so this is the last of the media. I thought if we get the big guns through first, then it'd be clear sailing at the end when you get a lot more stuff that's new. So in this class, I front loaded, so you won't have any more video evaluations, which are, other than the final thing that you do, which is an evaluation of an article, these are the 4 biggest point things that you've got. So that's why you're having one, that's why we had them so soon, so you've got plenty of time for the rest. My thinking is you would. So this one is about tsunamis, the one that you're gonna Media 4 is about tsunami. And as I said, it's a docudrama. So it's kind of cheesy. I mean, it's a docudrama. So you got music in the background, you got excitement building, you know, they want to get you into it. But it's, but what they do, the practical part of it, is that this earthquake happened. And immediately, some people got together, got a vote about these scientists, got together and went over where it was supposed, and tried to locate what it was and how it came about. And so they're searching for it. It was legit. They were really on a boat. It wasn't a Hollywood boat. It was a real boat. They were really scientists, really looking for this thing. And they thought they found it, and then they said, well, no, this doesn't match, so this isn't recent. I mean, it's an interesting present. They do a thing on the West Coast. The thrilling part is, who knows when there's gonna be the subduction that's happening on the Juan de Fuca plate as it subducts under the North American plate, right on the West Coast, right? Well, Seattle is about 120 miles from the coast, but anyway, that area, it's subducting. Every couple hundred years, they have a big quake. Well, they haven't had one for a couple hundred years. So it's gearing up. Now this video was done 2000 something, because 2004 is the earthquake that it's looking at. But afterwards, so they're doing this. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on the coast, Pacific coast, lots of time. Used to dig clams, whatever. My grandmother lived down there, not on the coast, but close by. So, you know, they have tsunami little signs saying, if it's a tsunami, you know, go this way. I mean, if it's coming in, I think probably no matter what they say, you're dead meat, especially if it happens. Like if you've got a tsunami that's generated by subduction right there off the coast, I don't know that you're gonna have a whole lot of chance, even though they have little warning signs, except you gotta go 25 miles. So anyway, they're doing what they need, they're trying to do what's right, anyway. But tsunamis, so seismic sea waves, or long wavelength, large waves between wave crests, long distances between wave crests. And if you've ever, I lived in Hawaii, lived on Maui for 15 months. And one of the wives of one of the guys I worked with, she lived in a place called Kihei, which was Lahaina, which burned recently or a year ago. But Lahaina was here, and it was down the way. Kihei was a little bay. And she was a little girl, and she was on a hillside, lived on a hillside, and she remembers watching the water in Kihei Bay all move out. And so people flocked down to the beach. I mean, the beach was wide open. It never is like, but it was. There was fish, there was all kinds of stuff. The other people just flocked in, and then the wave came in. People weren't there anymore. And they went to meet their maker. But she said she watched that as a little girl. the water goes out and all the people just flock down because the water was out. I mean, what was this? Well, it was preceding the tsunami. The water went out and then came in. Then it came out and then it came in again. So it was pretty, just listening to you describe it and knowing where Kihei was and what it was like, I can see that, her being on the hill there, just watching people just washed away. So anyway, you'll find out about tsunamis pretty soon. You see that vid, but anyway, they're not really tidal waves because they're not called by the tide. I have something about that I might shoot in a little later. There's a difference between not a tidal wave. Well, a tidal wave and a tsunami, they're not the same. And tidal waves are not caused by tides anyway. They're something else that are generated otherwise. So tsunamis are more damaging when they strike a coastline that has suffered earthquake-induced subsidence. Sketches resemble tsunamis but occur in standing waves or sloshes enclosed. So the earthquake in Alaska in 1994 caused seiches in bays off Louisiana, or I don't know if it was New Orleans or Baton Rouge, but little areas that were contained like little bays, the water started because it had that effect. So these things may be the result of tsunamis, but they're just in contained areas like that. So I'm going to show you two videos about tsunami. Both of these in Japanese, both of these in 2011. So this one, I'm just going to show a couple minutes of this one. It's a lot longer than that, but so it gives you a warning. So that happened off the coast. So when the water first starts coming in, it doesn't seem like it's doing this, but it gets going quick really fast. Some of them, I mean, there are so many out there. But you see all the debris? I mean, that was left there. The water's still coming in, but all that debris piled up, and buildings that were beyond that one aren't there anymore. I mean, they had to be pretty firmly planted to be there. It's amazing how that force of water continually and all this debris. So you can imagine. So this is going in, they're still coming in. When it starts to go out, it leaves a lot of that debris, but that's where you could get just a massive amount of debris. So it's starting to turn, and when it goes out, it's going to take that debris. That's why you can have tons and tons and tons of debris in the ocean from, this is just one little city in Japan. So, I mean, there's so many of these. I mean, well, you could watch these all night long. This is the one I remember seeing years ago that I've seen. Actually, you can find this.
The first time I realised the tsunami
Yeah, this has English subs.
was when I actually saw it myself. I looked in my rearview mirror, saw an even larger wave than one that was in front of me.
Dramatic footage has emerged of the Japanese tsunami in March, shot by an onboard camera on a car belonging to Umaroga. It shows the moment that waters flood a busy main road and the chaos that ensues.
People were running out of their cars. I suppose that's about it. I think everybody was really panicking. It was incredibly quick. It probably only took about 10 or 20 seconds from the point when the water hit my car to the car being washed away.
Somebody in the water.
There's video of this woman getting washed away right before my eyes.
So this guy that's talking is riding in his car,
It was kind of strange.
not on it, in
I
it.
feel panicky myself. I was quite calm. I thought that's how things go. So I might as well do as much as I can. And I decided just to sit inside and wait. I think that even if my car got swept up by the tsunami, it might land in some place, in a building or whatever, I might be able to float to safety. I had it in my mind that I'd use the car to protect me as long as possible. The car would float to somewhere safe and I'd jump out. Or if that was impossible, when the opportunity came, I'd jump out and float to safety. I think I'd have to swim for it.
Mr. Moroga managed to escape from the vehicle and fashion a makeshift raft from his possessions. After sheltering in a warehouse until the waters subsided, he later recovered his car and the tape.
So, his estimation was 10 to 20 seconds. One of these things I saw, it was like, it was less than 10 seconds. You had to, all of a sudden, and if you were on low ground, I don't know how fast you can run in 10 seconds. You can run faster than you think you can, but maybe not fast enough. It was, but you look at what happened. They have a lot of these, particularly of this one, because they had a lot of cameras on different parts of the country, on the coast, when they did this. And so, if you're interested in seeing the tsunami business, it certainly is available. So they're not to be messed with. And Japan does, because of the earthquake-prone nature of where it lies, you've seen that on the Ring of Fire. It is prone to earthquakes and therefore tsunami. So they have tsunami warnings. There are some videos that show people, as it's coming, it hasn't overflowed the barriers around the cities, and they've got megaphones saying, everybody get out of here, get away from here, move to higher ground. They've got a warning system that's much more advanced in a lot of places. So that's So, the sheet that I passed out last time, it's on the back of the, this is about, we're gonna talk about the Earth's interior a little bit. So, seismic waves, I think I mentioned this, I didn't show it to you, but you can see, I think your book has something about it. But seismic waves, people that study these things, and there are many more waves than this. But this would be the beginning. This would be the epicenter here. You had a P wave travel this way, a P wave travel this way, a P wave travel this way, a P wave travel this way. It's the outer core is diverted, then goes back and lands there. You have one come like this, and like this, more toward the, and trashes through the inner core, and then back out and out. And you can tell, they can tell, I can't tell, they can tell, when this ends up out here, they can tell that it's gone through like this. They can figure that out. But you have a P wave epicenter here, so P wave comes here and it reflects off this. Now this didn't reflect, this didn't reflect, this did. So you have you have a shadow zone where it reflects off the core here, that you don't have P wave activity, direct P wave activity. And the S wave shadow zone is the same thing, it's larger. But, so you have all these different kind of waves, and they can tell where this P wave hits here, and then it goes on, it reflects off of here, it reflects off of here, it goes through different material. So there's a lot of, if you study seismology, you will be studying quite an immense array of stuff to be able to evaluate. And this is a simplified version of how they bang around. They bang around all over the place, and they go different speeds through different density materials. So it may start to travel through here, and there are places within the mantle that there's different material, and so it would change and slow and speed up. And they have this, through seismic evaluations, they've had this pretty well understood. Well, I don't know how well they have it, but they haven't understood to do what they're doing. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the Earth's interior, just to give you a little perspective that we do have one. So most of the knowledge of our planet's interior comes from the study of earthquake waves or seismic studies. And not just earthquake waves, they have detonated charges that they know how powerful they are, they know how deep they are, exactly where they are, and then they set them off, and then they track the waves that come from them. So they're not just earthquakes that they're looking at, they're doing seismic studies of P waves, S waves, waves through material, and they can do in the lab, they can set waves through and evaluate how fast they go through different materials. So because of the time difference between P and S waves, depending on the density of material they travel through, seismologists search for various variations in travel time that can't be accounted for simply by differences in the distance. So if something starts in one place and the next station gets it at another place, they can say, well, it took this long to get here, but naturally a P wave should take only this long to get there, so somewhere it's been intercepted by some different kind of material, and they've evaluated those, or they are evaluating those things. So, 3 of the Earth's basic interior: the crust, the moho, which is an area between the crust and the mantle, and the core, and there's an inner core, outer core. And so, 3 of the Earth's, as I said, are different. They're differentiated. So what makes these different? It's their compositional differences, what they're made of. They can be further separated on the basis of the physical properties. and hence their mechanical strength. The lithosphere, asthenosphere, lower mantle. So the asthenosphere is in the upper mantle, this is the lower mantle. There's a D layer, quote unquote, and an outer core and an inner core. Now, they found, I'll have to check, I think there's some other studies that have found what they determined another layer, and I don't think it's the D layer, I think it's somewhere in the mantle that they found it, but it's not the lithosphere, and it might be within the asthenosphere or the lower mantle, I'm not sure, but for our purposes, these will be sufficient. So the deepest drilling to date has been only about 8 miles down, not even penetrating the Earth's crust. So seismic waves are essential to understanding what's going on inside the planet. That would be important to remember. Those are essential. It's really important that to understand what's going on inside our because we can't go down there. We can't even, well, 8 miles is the deepest they've drilled so far. I think they might, there was something I looked at momentarily or saw about China that they were drilling deeply. So I don't know if they passed the 8 mile range, but it's pretty minimal and nobody's penetrated the crust, oceanic or continental yet. So the oceanic crust is denser than the continental crust. That's why the oceanic crust subducts under. It's heavier. It collides with the continental crust, which is a little lighter. So that's why the oceanic crust would subduct under and not vice versa. Because it's denser, it's heavier per cubic meter, and so it tends to subduct then under. The moho, which is a crust and mantle discontinuity. So you have the earth, you have the crust, and then you have this area of discontinuity. I'm not sure if that's the area that contains the material that would be water retaining, or whether that's lower. I'll have to look at that. Anyway, then you have the upper mantle, which has the lithosphere and the asthenosphere. The asthenosphere is the plastic part. The lithosphere is the part that's more rigid, and the asthenosphere is the part that is more plastic. Okay? So the crust rides on the crust and lithosphere rides on the asthenosphere. Okay? Then you got the lower mantle, and then you have a D layer, which is a mantle outer core. So you've got the outer core of the Earth, and then you've got between the lower mantle and the outer core, there's a layer. Between the crust and the mantle, there's a layer. Discontinuity, different from the rest, different from the other material. And then an outer core is liquid, and the inner core is solid. So you might remember that an S wave does not go through liquid. So the S wave, so have you got the inner core? You got the outer core here? So, and this is liquid. So an S wave, if you have an earthquake that sends out a P wave, now a P wave functionally will come in and could go through all of that and out to the other side. An S wave will come, and it'll come to here, and it won't go through the liquid. So there's a shadow zone. All this would be, you wouldn't get S waves. You'd get S waves that would bounce around, that might hit here and then bounce back, but they wouldn't be continuous from this point on through. They'd be reflected off the liquid outer core, and so you'd have a shadow zone for S waves that is on the other side, directly opposite where the earthquake was. You'd have from here to here, so many degrees, you'd have a shadow zone that you wouldn't see any direct S waves because they don't go through the liquid. They just don't pass through that. So here is some illustration. Inner core, outer core, mantle, lower mantle, sphere, crust. So on the translation, it's like this. For your convenience in class, I'm not gonna make you translate that, you can do this here. So you have the crust, you have the moho right underneath the crust, a discontinuity. Then you have the upper mantle, and that contains the asthenosphere. You have the lower mantle. You have a D layer, that other discontinuity, that's just before you get to the outer core, which is liquid. And then you get a solid inner core. And then you have a solid boundary before the outer layer. So the more they're doing this and the more technologically savvy they get, they're finding a lot more going on. For our purposes, this is more than adequate. And I will get you a study guide, regardless of what I noted myself the last time I taught this class not to. I can't remember why. So you get what. So this shows the shadow zones here. So the P waves are in yellow. So the P waves go through this core thing. The S waves do not. So you get a P wave that'll careen off here, but then the next one where it hits this liquid core, it'll be deflected because it's different material, different density of material, and then it'll come back out. So no direct P waves will be seen in this small area and in this small area. They can tell what they are. But S waves, all the way from here over to here, you're going to get no direct S waves. You will get them bouncing off. They'll be bouncing off all over this place. But you won't get any direct ones. Do you follow me? Shadow zones. Okay. Okay, and there are different velocities. So when an earthquake starts, it goes through material of certain densities, and with each density, it shifts in its speed. So velocity in kilometers per second. So it starts out with a crust, and density increases. So it goes a little faster, and then it tends to slow down. And the S wave does not go through it's reflected off here, so it doesn't go through there. And with a P wave, it does, in this layer, it slows down and then it speeds up again somewhat. So this is just saying, you don't have to know this, except the P wave travels faster than the S wave. But their speeds are dependent upon the density of material they pass through. So this is just to illustrate that through dry sand and clay, they go certain fast. Wet